4,505. This is the amount of money that I made, and this is the amount of days that it took me to do it. Now, hear me out. Sports betting and investing have a lot of similarities. You spend a lot of time researching a player or a company in business and make an educated guess about whether they're going to go up or whether they're going to go down. You buy low and you sell high. So what if we were to treat sports betting the exact same way we do with investing? If the price of Bitcoin was at $50,000 a share on one brokerage while the rest of the market had it at $80,000 a share, it doesn't really matter whether or not you liked Bitcoin or how much you knew about Bitcoin in general, you would still put some money into the brokerage that had the less amount, right? So that's exactly what we're going to be doing in today's video, but with sports betting. Now you may be wondering how the two even correlate, but that's because you don't know about the strategy that I'm going to show you. And I hate to break it to you, but your favorite sports betting capper also probably doesn't know about the strategy that I'm going to show you. 97% of people that you see betting online aren't even profitable, they're just pretty good at marketing. Only the top 3% of people that bet actually see some type of return on their investments in the long run. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you the foolproof strategy that I've used to make $4,000 in just 5 days. So this strategy is actually fairly simple, but before we get started, we need to make sure that we have these three things. So as I'm listing them off, make sure you have them and then come back to this video. The first thing we need is access to 2 separate sportsbooks. We'll get into the why later, but just know you need a minimum of 2 different sportsbooks for this strategy to work. Next is you need an account to OddsJam. OddsJam is an AI software that's going to make this process a whole lot easier. Without them or without a tool like OddsJam, this process would be fairly impossible. So if you want an account, click the link in the description to get access to a 7-day free trial, no strings attached. Next is you need a little bit of capital to start with. This strategy isn't going to work if you're planning to only commit $5 or $10 to sports betting in general. So once you have access to these 3 things, then we can actually get started. So moving forward, what are we actually doing? We're basically hedging one single event on these 2 sportsbooks. Like, remember how I said we needed a minimum of 2 different sportsbooks for this to actually work? What we're doing is we're betting on one side on one sportsbook and the other side on the other sportsbook. Now, I know this sounds super counterintuitive, as in, how are you supposed to profit if you're betting on the over and the under, right? That just doesn't make any sense. But essentially how this works is every single sportsbook independently sets their own odds, their own lines, right? Each sportsbook runs themselves independently. If every single sportsbook had the exact same prices and the exact same odds, they would all go out of business. It just wouldn't make any sense, right? And because there are so many streams of data coming into these sports books at every single second, right? Player lineups, injuries, all of these things are flowing into the millions of different sports books. This is going to create mispriced odds, and some sports books are going to be out of sync with each other, creating profitable opportunities for me and you to take advantage of. So the overarching word to describe all of this and what I just said is called arbitrage. Now, using arbitrage betting, we are betting on every single possible outcome of the same event. And because of the mispriced odds, no matter what happens, which sportsbook or which side that you bet on wins the wager, we will walk out with a small percentage of profit, like I said, no matter what. Essentially risk-free. Now you know what this means. There's no more sitting there refreshing your ESPN live feed app. There's no more sweating watching the game on your couch for your parlay to hit. You don't have to stress about your bet anymore, because no matter what happens, you're still coming out with some type of profit. Alright guys, so switching over to the whiteboard here just to give you guys a clearer example of what to look for, how these odds are actually working to create an arbitrage opportunity. So the first rule that we need to look for and that we need to understand that will create us profitable opportunities for arbitrage is when the positive side odd on book number 1 is greater than the absolute value of the negative side odd on book number 2. Right, so let's call this book number 1. We have the over or one side of the event at plus 125. So our value is 125, and on book 2, the negative side odd is minus 105. So with the absolute value of the minus 105 is just 105. Because the absolute value is less than, the value of book 1, right? 125 being greater than 105, that's a profitable arbitrage opportunity for us. Now, the second situation when we would have an arbitrage opportunity would be on books 1 and 2, both having positive side odds. Now, it doesn't matter which one's greater or which one's worse, it just means the underdog and the favorite are both considered favorites, are both considered underdogs. So this way, it's also an arbitrage opportunity. It doesn't matter which order they're in as long as they're both positive. So we have 2 scenarios here. We have obviously the first one that I showed and the second one that I showed. Now moving over to the actual OddsJam tool. First, in this little tab right here on the arbitrage tool, we can see that we have the percentage. So this 6.51% is going to be the ROI, or the percentage that you're going to get back in profit from your total wager. Right, so we have the event and market, basically meaning what you're actually betting on, the games, the team total, puck line, money line, whatever. And then we have the 2 sports books that you're actually going to need. And you can update which sports books you have access to by going over to the filter tab, clicking on sportsbook, and then obviously, DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever you have access to here. Other books, obviously you can set your location based on where you are, and then it will show you the books that are available in your area. Right, so once you have all of your sports books selected, I'm just going to clear this for the sake of the recording, and you can go back, and it's going to show you all of the opportunities that you have during your based on your location and which sports books you have. So the more sports books that you're on, obviously the more opportunities you'll find yourself being presented with, because you have more variety and more opportunity to find mispriced odds, right? So as you can see right here, we have a 7.74 percentage arbitrage opportunity. So all we need to do now is click this pink calculator, and it tells us how much to put on each side of the bet, right? As you can see, $1,000 on DraftKings and $480 on Superbet will give us a return of $125 completely risk-free. So you can actually change these numbers based on, whatever you're comfortable with betting on each side. An easier way to do it is to change this value in this tab right here. $1,000 is my max that I want to put on any side of the bet, right? So if you were to change this to 500, it's going to show you the max on each side would be $500. So if you click this pink calculator again, as you can see, it's changed, and now your profit would be $62. Now this is completely risk-free if you're able to get in both sides of the bet, right? Bet on the over and the under at these exact odds and these exact values. We are going to be coming out with $62 risk-free after our total stake of $740. Now, if you're still a little bit confused as to how this works, right? Our total stake is $740. 500 plus 240 is 740. Now the payout with both of these being placed would be 802. With our total payout being more than our original wager, that literally means that the difference we are taking home in complete profit. So in this case, $62.60. Now you can scroll down and use a bunch of these different arbitrage opportunities throughout the day, obviously periodically when the games are being played. You can also have an option to do live arbitrage. Now at the time of recording, it's 10 o'clock at night and there's no games going on, but live arbitrage is technically a lot more profitable than pre-match. You'll see a lot higher arbitrage percentages just because, odds tend to move a lot faster and a lot more during games when odds are shifting super fast. So live arbitrage is a little bit harder. You can get into, learning live arbitrage. There's a little bit of a learning curve for that, but just for the sake of the video, I'm just going to be going over pre-match and what this is, right? So you basically have a general idea of how to use the OddsJam software now. You can change your location, like I said, up here, and then basically just scrolling down are all the different sports books on all the different opportunities. So I can easily say that these last 5 days of using arbitrage sports betting were easily the most stress-free days of my sports betting career. I mean, I don't remember the last time I could guarantee myself some type of money without having to sweat out a parlay or a bet. It's really an inexplainable feeling, and you can't really describe how it feels until you actually go and do it yourself. But with that being said, I want to kind of go over some things to be careful about when using this strategy and before you do start. It's not illegal in any way. Like I said, the sports books, they all set their own lines, so you can bet on them however you want. It's not illegal, but it is frowned upon by majority of the sports books. I mean, who would want a user or a customer to be taking risk-free money? Because that's just going to make the sports books go bankrupt. This being said, you need to be careful with your accounts being faced with limits, restrictions, and some type of bans. Majority of profitable sports bettors get banned anyway, and it's inevitable to avoid limits or any type of restrictions on your account. If you're a profitable sports bettor, you will get limited eventually. Like I just said, it's inevitable. And when you're arbitrage sports betting or using strategies like arbitrage, it tends to speed up the process of you getting limited or facing any type of restrictions. Because obviously you're taking a lot of money without losing it all, so the sports books will know, and they will be quicker to limit and ban your account. So I have a lot of videos explaining how you can actually prolong and almost prevent these bans and limits, but you just have to keep in mind that it's not the end of the world when you do get restricted or banned. There are a lot of sports books that will let you continue to place money or continue to place bets, large amounts actually, even after limits. Like FanDuel will limit you to 10% of the maximum bet of a market, which is still a lot of money for the most, for the average person. There are other sports books, they all have their own rules and their own set of laws on how, they handle their limits and how they handle their restrictions. It's completely different per sportsbook, but it's not the end of the world, so I definitely wouldn't let that restrict you or keep you from trying arbitrage sports betting. I mean, if you can make a guaranteed $5,000 in just 5 days, I don't think a limit should be a part of your worries. You want to think of a sports book almost like a business, because that's what they are. If they have a customer completely taking all of their money from them, they have every right to say they don't want your business anymore. It's very similar, like I use this example a lot, but if you go into a casino and you're counting cards, they're just going to ask you to leave, or they might even ban you from the casino. It's every profitable sports bettor will eventually get limited. And if you see YouTube videos or TikToks or Instagram reels of, these sports bettors making millions of dollars and they haven't been limited or banned, they are most likely lying to you. So yes, long story short, limits and bans and restrictions will be inevitable. There are ways you can prolong them, but just know it's not the end of the world, and I definitely wouldn't let that keep you from trying any of these profitable sports betting strategies. Because like I just said, I made $4.5 thousand in just 5 days. Alright guys, and that's going to wrap up today's video on how I made $5,000 in just 5 days using Arbitrage sports betting. Now I hope you guys learned something. If you're going to be trying Arbitrage, which I highly recommend you do, make sure to leave a comment, let me know, and also comment if you guys want to see a more in-depth explanation on any of the videos that I'm posting and what you guys want to see next. With that being said, like this video, subscribe, turn your notifications on for more educational sports betting content so I can teach you how to become a top 3% sports bettor that actually sees some type of profit. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.